We are still chucking out automatic transmission fluid. I'm Darren, an untrained amateur with a big goal. I'm going to save one of the last of these classic cars. This is Roy, a 45-year-old 2.8 litre Vauxhall Royale coupe. I had one 30 years ago and then they were rare. Now there's hardly any left. I'm going to bring this legend back to life. Stick around, follow the rebuild and let's save this forgotten classic. Right, morning everyone. So where I left you last time, we were having a bit of a starting problem and I took the starter motor apart and found that the bearing that goes in the end of the nose cone was shattered. There was only half of it. So I am hoping that what that problem is that's stopping the starter motor properly engaging and therefore working the solenoid, because you have this solenoid which works a switch on the inside here, and if that doesn't fully engage it won't press the switch and therefore won't give power to the starter. So that's my hope. So what I've sourced is some bushes for the end of the starter. So we're going to put that back together, go over to the car and see whether it's been leaking any automatic transmission fluid, because the other thing I did a week ago now was take the auto trans pan off the bottom of the car, reseal it all, put it all back on, and I put a spankingly clean drip tray underneath the car and refilled the auto trans fluid. So we'll see if anything has leaked. A week has usually been enough for there to be some kind of evidence of a leak. We'll see. And yeah, and then we'll see if we can get the car to start and drive. So we'll take it from there. But let's have a look at this this starter. So here it is, all in its kit form, in its component parts, as it were. So we have front cone there, the actual motor assembly here. We'll just open up the motor assembly because I want to blow out the brushes. I want to just give it a bit of a blow of compressed air, just to make sure everything is clean in the back there. So we've got, the brushes don't look too bad, but it's worth giving them a quick blow. I think we'll, this is a moment to rev up the parts washer. Okay, so we'll just give it a little bit of grease on the end there, just for the bearing, because there's a bearing in the end there. And we've got a shim and a C-clip, and we'll just pop a bit of grease in that grease cap there, just to keep everything nice. I think we could probably do a lot better than that grease wise in there as well. Now we've got some bolts that go right the way through this, hold it together. So that puts the motor together, and then when the solenoid works, it moves that pinion out, and when the pinion hits the end stop, the solenoid will have gone far enough to actuate the switch, so it moves the gear into place, and then it fires the solenoid. Let's give that a clean up. Okay, so the bearing that's failed is the one that sits in the end here. Now, I measured it, looked up various options, and there are a couple that are listed as Bosch spares, but none of them seem to be the right sort of size. See, that's a little bit loose. It's the first time I'm trying these. That one feels better, but is too loose on that. And I don't know whether it's they're just the wrong size, or it's the wrong, or this is worn. This was one that I got just off of, it's not a starter spare, it's just what I got off of measurements that I took, because I actually micrometered this shaft, and that's about right for that shaft there. It's a nice fit, but it's a little bit big for that. Maybe it would just drift in there. That one obviously way too small, and just generally a bit loose. This one's probably the best if it would go. Feels like it might go in there. See if we can press it in there. Oh, it's going. That's gone in as a nice interference fit, actually. As I say, that was the one that was that's one that I just got because it was the sizes that I measured. These are the Bosch spares and they don't fit. That's got a lovely fit to it. Nearly forgot that spring. Well, that is perfect. That was rattling around like anything in there before. And now it's a nice fit. It's a nice bearing fit, that. Right, let's wander over to Roy and see if it's improved things and if it works. But my ability to measure a bearing and get it pretty spot on right, I'm pretty pleased with. So yeah, let's go over to Roy and get it fitted. Okay, so here we are back with Roy, and we have a result. No automatic transmission fluid. We have finally sorted that leak by the look of it, which is good. So let's put this starter on. Okay, so this is definitely the advantage of working on older cars like this, because there is just so much room to work on them. The starter motor there works as a kind of junction box, because this is the main battery cable to it, and that other small one that takes the power to the rest of the car. Obviously the battery is disconnected, hence why there is not massive sparks coming out the end of my spanner every time it hits the engine block. And that's how long it takes to fit a starter motor on a Vauxhall Royale. Not very long at all. I think it was Ben at Tasty Classics recently did a starter, and it took him about a week. He even ended up having to jack the engine to one side just to get enough room to get it out. It might have been an alternator he did, but even so, same difference on this. You could do it no time. Hasn't fixed it. Oh, brilliant. It hasn't fixed it. It's not fixed it. If anything, it's made it worse. Yeah. So it must be the solenoid. It's got to be the solenoid. So this is Darren from the edit here. Typically the GoPro decided at this point just to do everything in time lapse, which was really helpful. What I'm doing basically is really trying to fault find what this starter problem is, whether it's the solenoid or whether it's the actual motor. In the end, I get it working a lot better by giving the brushes a very good clean up with contact cleaner. Now, I don't think the brushes are in a particularly bad state. It's just that for some reason the solenoid actually runs through the windings of the motor. It's very, very strange the way it works. I think, to be honest, I'm going to end up having to get a new starter for it, but it has been a bit better than it was, and it will always start if you lean on it enough times at the moment. So yeah, I'm just putting the starter back in, giving it a final try, and in the end I actually get it to start and pull it out of the garage. Right, morning everyone. It's going to be a short one today because I'm just really tired. So just moving the car back, I can see we've still got a very minor antifreeze leak somewhere from the front. Probably needs a new hose. And, oh no. We are still chucking out automatic transmission fluid. So my plans of taking the car for a run today fail again. Wonderful. I just don't see where that can be leaking from. It's just ridiculous. Okay, we'll get under there in a minute and see if we can find something that looks a bit wet. There's the antifreeze leak. It's coming off. It's coming off that bottom hose on the water pump. So let's just lean on that a little bit. I mean, that I just don't get that automatic transmission fluid leak. That's just incredible. And it probably means to get to the bottom of it, the transmission's got to come out. Okay, the other thing that I was going to do, what the plan was until a minute ago when I looked at that pan, because I genuinely thought I'd sorted that. I really genuinely thought I'd sorted that, because I didn't get any in it last week, but the fluid level was very low, so wherever it's leaking from, it is fluid height dependent. Right, the other thing, we are still getting fuel supply problems. So what I was going to do, this fuel pump, this fuel filter over here, last time I put a paper filter insert into it, because we're still getting a little bit of sediment out of the tank. Now, we also have something particularly interesting going on here, because there's no bloody fuel in it. So what's going on there? What I was going to do, that fuel filter, the fuel comes in on this side, goes down a hole in the middle, goes round the bowl, and then goes up. There's normally a screen up here, so it goes up through a screen and then down the outlet pipe. What I was going to do, because I'm putting a paper filter in there, what that means is that the fuel goes into the middle and out from the side, and I actually want it to go the other way round. You can actually see there's still some sediment coming out, but it's not big, it's just really small. So what I was going to do was change around the flow direction on that filter so that our fuel goes into the outside of the filter, through the filter, and then up, thus giving it more surface area to enjoy itself and for the filter to do its job. That automatic transmission fluid is absolutely baffling. One of our regular contributors to the comments did say it might be a breather, and that's logical. There are some pipe unions up there and things like that, so it could be that. The trouble is, we're only going to get to see it by dropping the gearbox. It's feasible. It is feasible to drop the engine a bit at the back, you know, to drop the rear cross member down and that would have the effect of dropping the back of the gearbox down. So that's a way of getting a bit of access to it, but it won't be great. It won't be a huge amount of access. It'll teach me I should have taken that gearbox back to the workshop and gone the whole hog on it, but I didn't. Right, so that's now the fuel coming in to the outside of the paper filter, and it will go through and come up the middle. So that's a more kind of relaxed way of running through there that gives a bit more surface area. So because we've run fuel through that one way, let's run a new filter. Let's put a new insert in it. These inserts are only about £5 a go, so it's not worth not doing it. So that now, the fuel will come around the outside of the filter, go through and go up. We have reversed the polarity. That's giving that a good squeeze in there. Now, the other thing I want to do is go back to putting a little bit of pressure on it, because I had got a restrictor on the return from this and I took it off. So now what that pump is doing is it is just throwing as much fuel round the loop as it possibly can. So we're getting gallons and gallons and gallons of fuel going through the filter that the engine doesn't need, and it's just going straight back to the tank. So we are cleaning the fuel in the tank, but we're probably blocking the filter up unnecessarily. So what we can do is a bit of a rejig around here. Now normally this here, all it is a tin can. There's nothing in it. There's nothing exciting in it at all. And the way it's plumbed from the factory is the way it's plumbed at the moment. So the fuel comes in on the second to lowest, the return goes back on the top, and the fuel goes out on the bottom. Now it strikes me, it's the carburettor on the bottom. Now it strikes me, the idea of this is if you get a vapour, if you get the fuel in, getting really hot and you get vapour, the vapour goes back through the return. And the fuel goes there, and it's like a vapour trap. This is not a problem we tend to have in the UK. So what I'm thinking, there is a good use for that actually in my situation, which is to swap where the fuel is feeding in with where the fuel is taking out, because that will then provide me with if you like, a sediment trap, somewhere that anything that makes it past that filter can sit. There's not much making it past that filter, because this paper filter here, which is only dealing with what actually makes it as far as the carburettor, this is actually quite clean. Let's just see what our fuel flow looks like at the moment. We have a leak over there. Always helps if you do the nuts up. Right, so that's got our filter sealed up, and we've got Not the best fuel flow in the world there. That's quite pathetic. No wonder I was having fuel starvation issues. It should be a lot better than that. That cylinder's now empty, so let's have a look at what the flow is like direct off the pump and the filter. Okay, but not brilliant. It might just be that that filter just puts too much restriction in it. Or we've got a blockage. See what it looks like with no restriction at all. We might have to abandon these paper filters. Oh, it doesn't make a lot of difference. It's not making a lot of difference at all. Go back to the original plan. Derek said to me that he had a problem with electric fuel pumps on these, not being able to supply the fuel quick enough. This might be the problem. We might have to put the ordinary one back. Right, so if we feed, so this is not the way it was plumbed out of the factory, but if we take the overflow, no, we've still got to take the overflow out the top, haven't we? We've absolutely got to take the overflow out the top, because if we don't, any air that gets in there will just create a massive airlock. So let's feed the fuel in at the bottom. Clip's knackered. Fuel in at the bottom. Out at point number 2. Why am I doing that up? I want to look at it. Right, then we'll have our fuel line coming out. With its little restrictor. So, fuel comes in at the bottom, fills that up, goes out at second from the top to the carburettor, return goes out from the top with a bit of restriction in its way to increase the pressure in this bit, and the overflow from the carburettor goes back into that T-junction. There's no restriction downstream of that, so that all flows in the correct direction. Let's see what we've got. Still feels like it's leaking. Yeah, it leaks when it's open. Mega. Okay. I've got another one of those in the workshop. Okay, that's now restricting it back just to the restrictor in the carb, which has significantly slowed down the fuel flow. Let's give it a try. That's the only thing we can do, is try it. The other thing I was getting was the idle speed was just a tiny touch too low, so we'll just give it a little tweak. I'm going to go under the car and see if I can work out where this auto transmission fluid is leaking from, because everything was nice and clean under there, so hopefully it should give me a clue. Last week, while me and Roy went out to Machine Mart as a ride out, I bought these new axle stands. They're 6-ton capacity, and they'll lift up to 60 centimetres, 600 millimetres. So they're a lot taller than my other ones. This is me starting to think towards the fact that I'm going to have to start doing some welding to the underside at some stage. And for that, getting the car up as high as it will go would be an achievement. So we'll just give them a go now and have a look at this transmission. Okay, so we've actually got a dribble on the floor there, and I can see it actively dripping. Just jacking the car up, showing it dripping. This might mean we're definitely leaking on the back seal. Absolutely, definitely. Oh, I think that fucking gasket's knackered. I think we might have to get a new gasket, seal it again. Let's go round it with a spanner again. That's reminding me of seeing a gasket that's available for this transmission, again for a Rover, not for this car, but for a Rover, that was neoprene rather than cork. That might be the solution. It's actually now making the gasket ooze out from the sides of it, which is not good. Having said that, the gasket maker that I put on it will now sealed, or now dried rather. I'm getting the same turn on all of them. Alright, I'll give this a try. I'm still going to take it out for a run. It needs a run. We'll give it a try, and if it's still leaking, then we'll get a new neoprene gasket for it. Right, that's probably it for today, because I'm now going to take the car for a motorway run, which won't be very interesting. Yeah, that'll be it. Unless, of course, you see me again in a minute, which means something catastrophic happened and we broke down. Someone asked me in the comments how good the LED dashboard lights were. I'm going to say quite good. Considering I couldn't see any of the dials before in the dark. Yeah, quite pleased with that. Well, I said I'd update you if anything happened. We went for a bit of a drive, and nothing happened. So I wouldn't have an ending for the video. It's actually really brilliant. It's Sunday afternoon now. Yesterday we did 120 miles, 2 60-mile trips on the motorway without missing a beat. So 60 miles there, 60 miles back. At 60 miles an hour, I didn't take it any higher than 60 miles an hour, because that's about 3,000 revs, and I don't want to stress the engine till it's properly running. But 120 miles of motorway driving, didn't miss a beat. And today we've done some town and country road driving, and we've done yeah, the best part of another 60 miles today, and again have not missed a beat. So we've had no blocking up of the fuel filter, we've had no breakdowns, no issues, everything is running beautifully. That starter is still occasionally not engaging, so it needs a new starter, let's face it. And I've put a clean tray under it again to see if that gasket tightening we did anything. but I very much doubt it, so I've actually got a rubber gasket coming for it, which I ordered last night. But all in all, I'm just overjoyed with it. It's I named the channel Rescuing Roy. I'm beginning to think Roy might actually be rescued, because if it can drive like that, that's reliable driving. That is reliable, predictable. You know you're going to get to your destination. That's quite something for a classic car. So yeah, well, that's definitely the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. I'm not sure what we're going to do in the next one. I'll find something to do. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one.